And let's get it started. The MLS Power Ranking Show for Week 8 begins right now. The top 10 on YouTube, all 27 on Twitter Spaces every single Tuesday live at 11 a.m. Eastern. And if you don't catch it live, you can go get that top 10 on YouTube. Let's start with number 1. It's the same number 1 it's been for a long, long time now, and that is the Seattle Sounders. NIKO Moreno covers them for Football MLS, the whole league, I should say, as well as the Sounders for Sounder at Heart in Spanish. NIKO, what's up, man?
Hey, Andrew, Doyle, happy to be here with you guys, with everybody on this space. Just excited. Got my morning coffee, ready to talk some soccer,
Yeah, man.
some
Tell
Sounders.
us it.
What'd you say?
All right. I love the coffee. You got the coffee here. Get your energy going. It's 8 a.m. on your time. I think we might have just a little bit of connection problems, so we'll try to shoulder our way through it. Seattle Sounders still number 1, still without Nico Odero. Won't have him for a while. Won't have Stephen Fry for a while, but do have Raul Ruiz-Diaz. In your mind, as you look ahead to the rest of the season, what is this team set up to do? What are your expectations?
My expectations are for this team to go for the Shield. I think that anything below that would be disappointed. Right now, the resiliency of the team, their ability to just probably gain points that they shouldn't be gaining, winning and struggling through certain games, and just being able to not just get draws, but get actual wins. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that without Stephen Fry, Nico Ladero, Jordan Morris, this team would be where it's at, I would tell you you're crazy. So in order for me to put this team in and expect more out of them, I have no ability to anything more than just to want more out of this team. Nico Ladera should be back probably late August, early September. So, should be, I'm guessing, rested and ready to go by then. So, yeah, I think the sky's the limit for this team. What I see from this Brian Smetzer group is a disciplined group defensively that will stay in every single game, that doesn't really need the ball, so they get beat on possession, but they're very vertical, great on transition, elite in the moment to do those transition moments. And I think that's something I haven't seen out of this team, but is worked perfectly this season.
Yeah, and you mentioned the defense. They haven't given up an open play goal yet this year, which is just shockingly good through 8 or 9 games. But let me bring it back to what you said, expecting the Supporter Shield. And one of the knocks on this Seattle team during the Brian Schmetzer era, and I have been one of the people knocking them for this, is they haven't, despite having obviously a great team and a ton of talent, they haven't really put together a dominant regular season. And I think I recall Christian Roldan talking about that a year ago or year and a half ago, maybe, about how that's something that he wants to be part of, and that's something the team talks about. So have they talked openly about the Shield being a goal for 2021?
Absolutely not. These guys are taking it one game at a time. Every guy who I've talked to, in Christian, I believe, said it in the last conference we've had with him via Zoom. This team just wants to continue to win, continue to stay ready. They don't want to look too far ahead in the future. And that's a Brian Smetzer team. They're about the here, the now. We're not going to get overconfident. We're not going to get big-headed. We're not going to think about a Supporter Shield. It's about getting a title at the end of the day. But because of the circumstances, I think that they might not say it publicly, but I think that is something that is an objective for them. Obviously, this team has never been in this position before. We were all surprised, and people probably think I'm hypocritical by me talking up the Sounders, because initially at the beginning of the season, I thought they were going to regress. I thought that there was a lot of issues, a lot of holes to fill, and yet they completely turned it around. They changed the formation. They moved Nuhu to center back, and they just completely obliterated the league. So I think even though players don't say it, they do want it. I know that when it comes to this team, Raul Ruiz wants a golden boot. He has his eye on it. He did not get taken into consideration for Copa America, so now he sees his opportunity. Yamar Gomez Andrade, to me, has been one of the best center backs since he came into the league. He wants to be in an all-star game. He wants to be defender of the year. So I think that there are players that have individual objectives, and they do want this shield, but none of them are going to say it publicly because they all are about the team and they're all about just staying consistent.
Nico Ladero in August, maybe September, coming off a major injury. Stephen Fry in the same place. Is there not concern for you that things might not fall apart, but slow down a little bit? And it feels a little bit on the outside looking in like it has slowed down just a little bit. Sort of the dominance of the performances. You said it, and I've seen it too. Good Shield teams win games they shouldn't win or might not win, 8 out of 10 times. That's what they're doing. What areas of concern would you have? Let's throw out the positives for a second because there's so many.
Yeah, I think the concerns would be the lack of creativity or volume of play right now, and without Nico, because we still don't know where he's going to be whenever he gets back, right? So I think that although the team is getting some wins, you saw it against LA. I think that Los Angeles ended up having 60% of the possession, and when they were in transition, they weren't able to really create as much. I believe they got 11 shots or so, but it was not as crisp as I typically like to see it. So that is some concern. Injuries coming into place as well, because I think the midfield has been a rotating cast and everybody's done a good job. But I think if you take Christian Roldan out of that role, it's going to be a huge letdown for the team. Joe Paulo not being there as well. So there could things that could happen on here throughout the rest of the season that could hinder this team's ability to continue to get points. But I think I would put it there when it comes to creativity and probably the depth in the midfield. Defensively, I feel like they have some depth. In the midfield, not so much.
Was it a PK on Chicharito? And then we'll let you go. Give me your quick take. No rave green glasses here. What do you think?
No, not to me. I think they're soft. I mean, I come from CONMEBOL play, man. So definitely the wrong guy to ask when it comes to a PK like that, man. I've been watching Copa America this whole time. I'm a CONMEBOL guy where stuff gets a lot chippier than that. So to me, that is not a PK. I thought he dove.
All right. Doesn't matter though. 2-1 win this weekend for the Sounders against the LA Galaxy. This has been Nico Moreno. Nico, thank you so much for joining us to talk through the number one team and what has been the number one team in MLS in the power rankings for a long time. 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Seattle hosts Real Salt Lake on MLS Live on ESPN+. So that's the next time you can see them. Let's keep it rolling. Number 2 here, Doyle. We have the New England Revolution. They're 1 point back. Same games played, 9 in the Supporters Shield standings. They seem to have figured it out on the other side by moving Carlos Hill inside, and it's just kind of gone from strength to strength with them.
It has, and they're playing really, really good soccer in a lot of different ways. They've addressed one of my big concerns about them heading into the season, which was depth at center back. I know John Bell struggled this past weekend defensively. He had a goal, but he was not good defensively. But he has looked the part of a rotation caliber center back at the very least. They're getting answers with their fullbacks. They, have a lot of depth in deep central midfield. Matt Polster's been excellent this year, but Maciel has been very good as well. Tommy McNamara when he plays there. Scott Caldwell hasn't played much, but he could do the job. And then between Bo and Buxa, their center forwards are scoring. And that's what we were saying. Like, in order to play the 4-2-3-1, one of those guys has to be able to lead the line. So a lot of it is looking really good. I still have questions about this team's ability to generate goals off the wing. None of their wingers are putting the ball in the net. And I know Tajon Buchanan has made a couple nice plays, but he's just not a goal dangerous player. Teal Bunbury has he has struggled. Traustason has, I think, struggled a little bit, maybe more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. But if you're going to play that 4-2-3-1 and you're going to win, those guys need to put the ball in the back of the net. At the same time, the Revs are so good everywhere else at this point. And then in Carlos Gil and in Matt Turner, they have match winners. What Matt Turner did this weekend was just freaking remarkable. And, I mean, I can't remember the last time a goalkeeper won Player of the Week in a game where his team allowed 2 goals. But, Turner was that good. It could have been 5 or 6 that NYCFC dropped on this team.
I think Jonathan Bond this year is leading in American Soccer Analysis, sort of expected goals
It's
minus
Stuver.
goals scored.
It's Brad Stuver. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
Stuver now? Yeah, Stuver
Yeah.
made the jump, and Turner probably got 2 of those in this one. But over the course of the last 4 years, Turner is blowing away the entire league. I wonder how long he stays in MLS. Not because he isn't performing and doing extremely well and his team's not great, but because it seems like with the passport that he has and with his opportunity with the national team and his competition with Zach Steffen and his career overall, look, I mean, he's looking to keep jumping levels and exposing himself to new environments and trying to do new things. How long can they hold on to him? Could we see him move after a Gold Cup this summer, during a Gold Cup? I don't think a January move is likely for a goalkeeper, but could it be next summer? Like, what's the?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But he has a Lithuanian passport, so he could. He doesn't need to have a certain amount of caps to move to a Premier League team. And obviously, throughout Europe, there are different rules for different teams or different leagues in terms of the amount of foreigners you can have. But like I have analytics people from around Europe dropping into my DMs asking me about this guy. Turner himself has said that playing in Europe is a dream, a dream that he has and he wants to fulfill. We know that Greg Berhalter has no problem calling up MLS guys, but Greg Berhalter has also been pretty clear about the fact that he thinks that everybody in the pool should push themselves to get to the highest level. And in my point of view is that you could drop Matt Turner into almost any team in the world and he would be a starting caliber goalkeeper there. So I do think it's a matter of time, but at the same time, neither the Revs nor Bruce Arena are traditionally known for selling their players. So as with everything else, it's a business and the numbers are going to have to be correct.
And I'm sure they're looking at the numbers from the Zach Steffen sale as well.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, that's the sort of region that we're looking to get into, and it's a strange time in the transfer market. We'll see. But the Revs number 2 in these power rankings, playing really well right now. Gotta love a Tommy Mack game winner at not Yankee Stadium, but with the signage, it kind of looked like it. But back at Red Bull Arena, always love a good Tommy Mack moment. And the ball from Carles Hill and then Tejan's run. I mean, it was a great game winner for the Revs and a huge road win for them. At number 3, staying in the Eastern Conference, got to run on Eastern Conference teams after Seattle at number 1. Philadelphia Union, Jakob Glesnes. He don't care about your expected goals. He doesn't care about your efficiency. Get out of here, analytics people. When he sees the top corner from 45, he figures, I can put that thing on the crossbar and bounce it up and down a couple times and have it go in the goal once and twice and 3 times. What a way to end this game for the Union. To me, the Union have solidified themselves, and we're no longer in a question mark of like, are they good, or it's more of how good can they be? And every week sort of confirms for me that they as a club have entered into sort of a new era of stability and success. And I just hope to see it continue because I know what they suffered with their fans in particular for a while.
I mean, they did. But if you look now, I think they've made the playoffs 5 times in 6 years. Yeah. They got a Shield last year. They produced best 11 caliber players who go to Champions League teams. And they just keep on trucking. Like I would not be shocked if there were a couple more sales after this season. If you look at how well guys like Jack Elliott and Kai Wagner are playing, like those guys are like
Mbaizo, I would throw in there
like
as
those
well.
guys are.
Did you see Mbaizo's face to, I want to say, Glesnes early in this game against Atlanta, where Glesnes it's not a hospital ball, but it's like it's like a yearly checkup ball. And they went full face, like, Peter Vermees F-off gift style on Mbaizo. And he stared daggers through Glesnes and then like through the stands behind him. It was an incredible moment.
I missed that one, but now I'm going to have to go back and look for it. I did go back and I watched this game. And one of the things that really struck me about it was that the Union are able to problem solve on the field in real time. And they don't do it by being a possession-heavy, ball-dominant team, which is what they were a couple of years ago. They're just a pure transition team. And understanding Atlanta's shape and understanding where the opportunities were going to be because of that, understanding the fact that Atlanta were man-marking and how to sort of take advantage of that. And one of the ways you take advantage of that is by having your center forward or center back stride forward with the ball on his feet. And usually in that case, you say, okay, we want you to stride forward and then make the next progressive pass after they break their man marking scheme to come close you down. Obviously, Glesnes had a different way of adjusting for that.
Yeah.
But it was
not?
impressive. And the other impressive thing is, like, look, they went 2-0 down on a couple of set pieces. And that's not usually their MO. They're usually very good on set pieces. And maybe they just were lacking a little bit of sharpness after the break. But they didn't fold. They played better after that. And that is, you talk about the Sounders getting type of, like, grinding out the type of results that a supporters shield team needs. This is the same type of thing that Philly did this weekend. Like, this, getting a point in this situation, that's the type of thing that you expect to see from a team that is seriously competing for multiple trophies.
Philadelphia Union, number 3 in these power rankings. They were 1 point on the road against Atlanta. Good result for them. Maybe they win one more. Got done early, as you said, Doyle. Looking for their game this weekend. Yeah, they're going to host Columbus on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, MLS Live on ESPN+. So that's a good one, and it's a good transition as well because the Columbus Crew are number 4 in these power rankings. They are jumping up 7 spots. That is really unheard of.
Yeah, it's weird.
In these power rankings, they got 3 straight wins.
It's a home win. They jumped 7 spots for a home win over the Fire.
Well, you know what, Doyle? That's how powerful the aura, the mystique, the final hurrah at Crew Stadium is. Everybody realized, my God, they're singing, they're singing at the final whistle. They're celebrating a win here and then moving. We got to give them this credit, +7. Do they deserve it? Are they the 4th best team in the league right now?
I don't think so. But they're, not far off of that. And a lot of it is based around the talent on this team. Zelarayan, we know what he can do. Nagbe had one of his better games and is starting to maybe look a little bit more like himself over the past few outings. And obviously Jossie getting healthy. Jossie played the first part of the season hurt, and he looked it. And he did not look hurt against Chicago. And when you have a center forward who, is a wonderful poacher, but also a threat over the top, and you have wingers who are smart about finding that space, and you have a center back core that is really, really good. You can win a lot of games, and that's where Columbus are right now. It means they can play through some patches where they're playing, maybe like for Columbus, this was like a C+ performance, right? They weren't great. But when you have that type of talent and you're putting out a C+ performance, you're still probably going to get a win. But I just in terms of, like, the overall structure of the thing, they don't look like the 4th best team in the league right now. They still have some holes. I still want to see Zelarayan drop a little bit deeper and get on the ball more and dictate play a little bit more. Obviously, they have issues at left back. They need to get some of those guys healthy, but that's the luxury of being super deep and being super flexible. Like, they don't need all of that to still go out there and collect points.
Big test Wednesday against the Union. I'm looking at Kevin Molino here.
Yep.
And how Caleb Porter eases him in. This is where Molino wanted to be. And it was a trophy chase for him in a lot of ways, and a place where I think he felt like he was going to be truly appreciated in a way that he was at the end in Minnesota, but it hadn't been consistent. And part of that's his own body. We're seeing that right now. He's just hasn't been able to consistently put a full season together, and when he does, he's like a 12 and 14 player. But he'll be back. I think that allows Zelarayan to drop in a little bit.
Yes.
I think that the combination.
I would hope it does, but Zelarayan's not really that type of number 10.
He doesn't really want to.
Like he hasn't done it at all for Columbus over a year and a half now, and like it was one of the knocks on him with Tigres as well. It's why arguably he didn't get into the lineup as much as he should have in spite of his talent. So I'm with you. I want to see that happen. I want to see them kind of reprise what we saw last year in Minnesota with Babello and Molino, just eviscerating teams, because I think that would add a different dimension to this Crew attack that has maybe been lacking a little bit this year. But I'm not 100% sure that that's how it's going to play out.
I just think it gives him an opportunity to play into Molino's feet and then get moving into the areas that he wants to be in, and unbalanced defense that way. And Santos can stay high and provide width, and Zardes is going to make the right runs to open the space up underneath. I don't know. I think that we could see that sort of relationship between these two. I just hope that Kevin Moreno can stay healthy to do it. Big win for the Crew. We'll talk Chicago Fire much further down this list. Almost at the bottom. Not quite, but almost.
Boy.
I probably deserve to be at the bottom, to be honest with you. But a big win for the Crew over the weekend to close out Crew Stadium. On extra time on Monday, we spent about 5 to 10 minutes talking through our favorite memories at Crew Stadium. I've been there for a number of U.S.-Mexico games. I've been there for MLS Cups. I've been there for regular season games. I've been there for playoff games. I go back to this thought that I've had over and over with it, whether I was there or now that it's closed, quote unquote, though still think events will be happening there, which is great to see. It is the most ordinary, extraordinary stadium in North American soccer history.
Mm-hmm.
As David said on the show, it's the erector set that Uncle Lamar built. And it's sad to see it go, but it's amazing to see that new Lower.com field prepare to come online in Columbus. So congratulations to Crew fans for everything that you've done, have been through, and emerged on the other side for a new building. It's awesome to see. Let's go to number 5 now in these power rankings. Julia Poe, I believe, is with us. I don't see her here. We'll see if she comes through here in a second. Number 5 is Orlando City.
Yep.
And they got a nice win against Toronto FC. Kind of gutted it out. It was real chippy at the end. I don't know if anybody saw that Nani and Michael Bradley back and forth. But they're a good team, and they have a real good player back in Daryl Dike. The question is, and the one we would ask Julia if we can get her on here, is how long will they have him? Because it seems strange to me to put a ton of mileage on Daryl Dike when you seem to be on the brink of a many $1 million sale.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is one of the big questions league-wide this summer. I think Tesho Akindele has done a really nice job filling in. Tesho completely understands how Oscar Pareja wants a center forward to play defensively, and he's good enough in the attack. I mean, he has 3 goals, 3 assists in 600 minutes this year. So a lot of Orlando City fans knock him for productivity, but he's been pretty productive. But DK's obviously just a level above in terms of not just what he can do, and not just the putting the ball in the net, but in terms of what he does to opposing backlines. And I think we saw it on that game-winning goal, because he occupied that entire Toronto backline. They were afraid to come off of him, and that opened up the chance for Junior Ursa to play that 1-2 and slip behind Mark Delgado, who kind of fell asleep. And I think Bradley was maybe a little bit slow with his rotation. I'm not sure that happens. I'm not sure that happens if Daryl Dike is not on the field, because he just commands that much attention from opposing defenses.
Congratulations, Oscar Pareja. This has been a turnaround rather quickly for them.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
I keep going back to this team and being like, what? I mean, it's not just him either. It's Luis Muzzi as well, who came in and is doing a great job on the acquisition side. And I don't even know that they've gotten much out of Mauricio Pereira this year.
He was awesome on that first goal, just like finding that little half.
Yeah, but like not in you see the best teams in this league, their number 10s are like consistently game after game, whether it's Carlos Gil or it was Ladero when he was healthy, or Zelarayan, are game-changing, impactful players. Yeah. And between health and inconsistency and some suspensions, Pereira hasn't been that guy. So I look at this team and Pato's not there either, and they need to get him back if they're going to sell DK. Probably, though, Akindele's doing a fine job. Like, what they've been able to do, despite Nani's been inconsistent, despite all these sort of high-profile pieces that in most other teams, if they weren't performing at B-plus level or higher, would not be able to sustain these results, Oscar's been able to do it. This team has been able to do it. Moutinho out repeatedly. Like, it's not just that they've been good. It's that they've been good with a lot of odds against them that I think many other teams would collapse on. I think Julia is back here. Hey, Julia, unmute yourself.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's up? How's
it going? I'm pretty good. How are you?
We're good. Sorry we missed you. Can we ask you again for the 15th time on this show, what's up with Daryl Dike and a potential transfer?
Oh, my goodness. It's the question I ask myself every single morning. I feel like we're just in a waiting game at this point. I mean, I don't think Oscar Pareja could be any happier than he is having Daryl back, and the whole team is happy with it. But it really is just kind of that everyday question of like, okay, what's going on? Where are we with this right now?
Is Daryl happy with it? Do you get the sense that he's really pushing to go this summer?
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the things you'll hear a lot of people say about Daryl DK is that he's kind of happy wherever he is. I mean, he just has that like ineffable attitude about himself. But he's visibly happy to be back. He has a lot of close friends on this team, and he's really come in very hungry. He wanted to play immediately upon getting back. He told all of us that. He's like, I don't know if Oscar's going to put me out there, but I want to be on the pitch from the start of this game. So yeah, I think he's content right now, and really kind of back in that comfort spot, being able to use a lot of the growth that he made over the last 4 or 5 months to impact this Orlando City team right from the start.
Do you think
I saw Benjamin Shaw pick him up from the airport with the dog in tow? He looked happy.
Yeah.
Do you get the sense that if a transfer happens, it could end up being a Brennan Aronson or Tyler Adams type thing, where it's agreed during the summer, but he doesn't actually move till the winter?
I think it's so hard to speculate because I think every offer is going to be so unique and so different. I think that Orlando City would like to be able to keep him for the entire year because, I mean, I don't really think I have to say much more about that. We all know what he does for that offense, but and especially with Pato being out and kind of where he's at in his recovery right now, they'd like to keep him for the entire season if they could work out a deal like that. It's really just going to come down to who they're able to strike up that bargain with, what that's going to look like. And they're having to navigate all of that in the middle of an ownership transfer too. So it's just kind of a lot of moving parts over here right now.
Do you know if there have been any concrete offers so far?
For Daryl, there's the only one that I'm aware of is that one that came through a couple of time is fake. I can't remember if this is weeks or months ago at this point, but it was a while ago, and I have not heard of anything concrete since then.
So it's still a little bit on that negotiation spot. Do you have a feeling about Daryl in the Gold Cup? Like, are there rumblings that he could be gone for that? Has he mentioned that at all? Has Oscar mentioned that at all?
He has not mentioned it at all. I know that Oscar is planning, and the team in general is planning for all of them to be gone just because they need to be prepped and ready for that. So I don't think they're really going to faint one way or the other on that, but they're prepping for all 3 of those players to be called up and gone for that in case it's necessary.
Interesting. We'll leave you this one, Julia. The general vibes from Oscar right now. What is he talking about in press availabilities? What is he focused on? I mean, this team obviously just keeps stacking results, but what's he saying?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first, it's been a really tough couple of weeks for them. I don't know how aware folks outside of Orlando are, but there's been a lot of loss on this team throughout this season. So that's honestly been like a lot of what Oscar has been talking about, just because it's been rough, and they're trying to just kind of get through this emotionally with, you know, players losing their parents and stuff like that. So they've really been trying to hunker down emotionally through that and stay close together through that. In terms of on the pitch, I think defense has been a little bit of a focus the last 2 games. You know, we saw that Orlando City backline come out and just smother and dominate to the start of the season. And then they've let in 4 goals in the last 2 games, which is not up to really the snuff that Oscar normally wants out of his defensive team. So that's a little bit of the focus right now. It was trying to get the finishing up, and then that kind of came through last game. So now at this point, it's just trying to get the consistency from the defensive end and shore those things up, especially with having, you know, Pedro Galese and Sebas Mendez, 2 of the most important defensive players on that team. Having them out, they really just need to figure out how to manage when some of those pieces are gone.
Big game tonight. Orlando hosting San Jose Earthquakes, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That's in Orlando at Explorer Stadium. Unimas, Tudien, and Twitter in English. So you can watch that one for free on Twitter if you'd like, or if you have Unimas or Tudien, it's in Spanish. I prefer the Spanish call. Try to pick up a couple words along the way. All the coverage, Orlando Sentinel, Julia Poe. Follow her on Twitter as well, by Julia Poe. Julia, thank you so much for your time. As always, love catching up with you on Orlando City and the Lions. Let's keep it rolling here. Number 6, NYCFC. Doyle, you said on Extra Time, check back in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That you think they'll be rising the table. Everything will be all good and hunky.
This is a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. And the way they've been playing, I mean, maybe it wouldn't shock me at all if they make a run up the table to number 1. I mean, they were thoroughly better than the Revs this past weekend. They almost completely outplayed the Revs. And the difference was that Sherlyn Johnson had kind of a tough one. And Matt Turner had, you know, an all-timer of a performance. But if you look at the way this team has been able to play this year, both out of the 4-2-3-1. And, when they've played with 5 of them, or 3 at the back, really, because they're so attacking, they've shown some flexibility. They've been able to be very dangerous in transition and then dominant in terms of chance creation from open play. They just haven't finished great. And that isn't, look, it is kind of an issue because Tata Castellanos, he does a lot of things really well. He's not great in front of the net. But maybe, not maybe, hopefully that is what they were trying to address with all these signings, whether it's Talismano or Thiago Andrade, who had a great goal this weekend, Sebastian Rodriguez coming in. So every year there is at least one team that comes out and plays really well at the start of the season and is just ice cold in front of goal. And I think that's where NYCFC are. But based upon the way they actually play the game, they're going to be really good.
The nice thing for them, even if Tati's not producing, in Tajuri Shradi, in Medina, in Andrade, in Magno, you seem to have wingers, and Medina in particular this year has found his scoring boots, who can get on little heaters, and you just need 1 or 2 on a heater at a time. Try to find some sort of rotation to get it there, and then you wonder when Eber is going to be back and what he's going to be if he is, because he seems to have more of that instinct in front of goal, that efficiency in front of goal. Maybe not sort of the creative aspects that Castellanos has. Maybe he doesn't unbalance a defense in the same way with his ability on the ball and his movement sort of outside the channels. But he's in the right spot a lot of the time. We'll see if they can get there. James Sands, do you think he'll make the Gold Cup?
I don't know. He would if it was me. But he hasn't figured at all for U.S. youth national teams since, I think, the 17s. They didn't – I don't think he was ever called into one of the U23 camps. And the thing that he is not great at as a D-mid is progressive passing and ball progression in general. And that is a thing that that Greg Berhalter has really, really valued. Now, Sands' passing has gotten both better and more adventurous this year, which is great to see. But it might not be enough. And I would be disappointed by that because I think he's the type of number 6 who allows the rest of the midfield to play more aggressively and to be a little bit YOLO when they decide to push forward. And then the other obvious attribute that he brings to any tournament setting is you could also play him at center back. So he provides depth at 2 really crucial positions. I will be disappointed if he's not on this roster.
NYCFC, Ronny Deila, they are full court pressing that he should be around this team, that he should get these opportunities. 1, it sounds like they want to see their guy get some cred, but 2, maybe that's setting up a sell down the line for them as well. Ultimately, he could be an asset with greater value, certainly would be if he's in the national team setup. I wonder what's going to happen this summer in the Gold Cup. You see the preliminary roster that came out. You do see the names, the sort of guys in the Nations League roster that are also MLSers, that, Leggett and Acosta, et cetera, and Ewell. And Berhalter had said that, look, for the Gold Cup, we're not going to bring that same group. Those guys need a break, but you wonder if that applies to the MLSers as well. And in my mind, I get why you would bring the guys that you need to keep giving reps to make the World Cup, but I would also love to see some of these younger guys in and around MLS, whether it's a Williamson or a Maya or Sands or Caden Clark or Gianluca Busio, just have a shot just to see. Because they're going to develop at a different rate in the next year and a half as well, and into that next generation too, you hope. We'll see what Greg
and this is why failing to qualify for the Olympics was so damaging, because basically everybody you just listed could or would have, well, maybe not would have, but could have been on that Olympic qualifying team and then the Olympic team itself. And it's just I will never get over that, just how poorly the roster was picked in March and then how they were set up to fail once they got on the field.
I'm having flashbacks to raking leaves and screaming into it in different Twitter spaces. Let's go to number 7 here. That's Sporting Kansas City. They played really well in Portland. They just didn't quite get the job done. Cold in front of net. Tom Bogert is here with us. Tom, I sent you an invite, so jump in when you can. If you haven't seen the news here, the KC Star had a long-form article all about Gianluca Busio's future, and basically the long and the short of it was that Sporting Kansas City and Gianluca Busio would like for this summer to be the time that a move is made, provided that the numbers are right and the situation is right for Busio. So the numbers obviously being transfer fee and on Busio's end, the personal side of it. And then the situation being a place where he can play. Tom, what do you know about what's going on with Gianluca Busio and Sporting Kansas City right now?
Yeah, that's right on the money. I think the easiest way to kind of break this down is, last summer we were all on Brendan Aronson watch, and that seemed to be something that had an update every week, or was the dominant topic of conversation when we were talking about the transfer window. This summer is going to be the summer of Gianluca Busio. They're not in a rush, obviously. Even Peter Vermees in that article that you referenced by Sam McDowell was like, look, I don't want to lose him. I'd prefer if he just stayed here, but he's like, I get it. And there's just plenty of interest, and kind of everything is pointing to, a summer move. And I guess we'll see how hard they would negotiate for, and if it's even possible to get kind of the Brandon Aronson deal where he stays for the rest of the season. But we'll see.
Busio said he was open to that. That would be interesting. Sporting Kansas City trying to get back on the trophy side of things. They want to paint a wall again for the first time in a while. I keep seeing, and I've seen it for years now, and it's still the number that they throw out in these sort of, hey, could Gianluca go or not? He's available, essentially, is $5 million. What do you think it takes to get this deal done? And is Serie A just the odds on it's going to be that league sort of deal? Or is there something else that could pop up?
I'll start with a bonus in that the two offers that rolled in from Serie A did not include anything about keeping him here for the rest of the season. And again, maybe that's just a starting point in negotiations, but as of right now, those first two offers that Taylor Twellman first reported and we confirmed did not have that in there. As far as
Tom, wait, before you go on and continue this, do we have the clubs who made those offers? Do we know which clubs?
We do not. I assumed pretty heavily that it was Fiorentina, given that they had been interested in forever and had put in a bid. But for anybody who's been following Fiorentina a little bit, they hired a new manager, and a week and a half later, that new manager quit over philosophical differences. So they have their hands tied with some other stuff that they need to figure out first. And all I was told is that Fiorentina have not put in a new bid yet. And whatever, this was a few days ago, maybe things changed. But yeah, I don't know for sure who those teams are yet. As far as price, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it'd be anything less than $5 million, a decent amount of add-ons and a decent sell-on. Like, they rejected a $4 million offer from Fiorentina in the winter of 2019. Like, his value has only grown since then. And you don't reject a $4 million offer just to, accept one a couple years later. Granted, his contract's up after 22, so that kind of changes the math and changes things here. But
talk to Eric Palmer Brown about that.
Exactly. I think that they learned from that one, though. But yeah, and as far as the destination, yeah, I still believe that Italy is just the most likely, given the passport, given all of the interest from a bunch of different Italian clubs. But it is true that there's one of the big three Dutch teams have been interested in for a while. I reported last week Sporting Lisbon have kind of been around with their interest. A French team, a Belgian team. There's plenty of interest outside of Italy. But if I were a betting man, I'd have to assume that just the likelihood of all of the things that make sense with them going to Italy would kind of be the final destination. But that's far from a foregone conclusion.
You're not going to do it. You're going to listen to Extra Time for Doyle's correction on Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah.
I know that it's like the Americanized and the Anglophised way, but we'll just do that for different.
Sorry, Doyle.
What is the name of that club?
Sporting. Did I get that? I a lot of my.
No, I'm not. It's not. This isn't about the accent. This is about what is the name of the club.
This is Sporting CP. Is that what you're looking for?
Sporting CP. Sporting
Lisbon. Look, that comes from a couple of my teammates in college and a couple of my closest friends are Portuguese, and they are big Benfica fans. So I don't think that they cared very much for the green side of Lisbon. So
they were happy to lead you astray. Yeah. Let's get the perspective of a different Sporting KC. How do you think they're looking at this situation with Gianluca Busio? Because this is really, though they've made sales otherwise, those were veteran players. This is sort of a first foray into what they would hope to be like the starting of a market among their younger sort of academy or folks they attract or buy in the U22 program, if and when that happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, this is kind of, you guys already joked a little bit about Eric Palmer Brown. This is different. This is kind of, I guess, a manifestation of the league evolving in that, again, like in that piece with Sam McDowell that I'll keep referencing, they don't want to lose him. You don't like wake up and say, you know what, I hope that we sell Gianluca Busio tomorrow. You know, like they prefer to keep him, but they understand this. They understand the market. They understand that this is what he wants. Busio has been upfront about this for a while, and Busio, you know, his quote was directly like, look, I'm not forcing my way out, but it's mutual. We've both talked about this from the beginning. So this is no surprise. This is kind of just, you know, the latest evolution. This is the latest club figuring out that this is advantageous, both, you know, financially and sporting wise. And this is kind of how things evolve and things change.
Tommy Scoops at Tom Bogert. A bunch of news coming out, including some stuff on Christian Ramirez. Headed over to Scotland from Tom at MLSsoccer.com. Tom, thanks for your time, man. All right, at number 8, Portland Timbers. Chris Reifer, I hit you with a invite to jump in here. It's a nice win for the Timbers, Doyle. They weathered a storm in the second half, but they've got a lot of absences, injuries. They've carried a lot of different. They had some baggage this season. Let's just say that, and to be where they're at, I think is commendable.
Yeah, I think that's about the size of it. They're still not playing the greatest soccer that we've seen from this team. Like, they look nothing like the team that won MLS's back last year. A large part of that has to do with the fact that they have had, as you said, so much baggage and so many injuries, playing through, a CCL run to one degree or another, being without multiple DPs, being without Diego Chara for a bit, being without Larissa Mabiala for a bit, being without Jeremy Abobasi for a bit. It's a lot. It would have been a lot for any team, and they dealt with it really well, and they got themselves a very good win this past weekend over Sporting Kansas City. And to bring it back to what I was saying at the top of the show, we know that when Gio Savarese gets a lead, he likes to bunker. It's just what he is as a coach. And they bunkered the entire second half. And last year, anytime that happened, it was death for the Timbers. They were definitely going to give up an equalizer, sometimes even, lose the game because of it, as we saw right up into the playoffs against FC Dallas. This game they bunkered, and they allowed Sporting a lot of chances, but they didn't allow many good ones, and they got away with a 2-1 win.
Give us some thoughts you have, Chris.
I mean, I'm not sure I need to give a ton of thoughts. I think Matt just gave most of them. I mean, that's exactly what the game was. The Timbers got a couple goals toward the end of the first half, out of not a lot, I think it's fair to say. And they got their noses in front after giving up the first one on a really nice Jalen Lindsay strike.
Thank you for acknowledging that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the highlights had some tough moments for Jalen, but by God, that was a beautiful.
Yeah, that was a heck of a hit. And I think they did a really nice job in the second half of shutting down a game in which you could tell they just didn't really have the horses to sort of go blow for blow. I'll also just mention that Sporting, this was the first time I've really sort of sat down and watched Sporting this year. They are one of the most just like satisfying teams in the league to watch. The clarity of ideas that they have, the consistency, exactly what they want to do, and they're effective at doing it. They try to exploit teams in wide areas. And I think Gio Savarese did a really nice job of diagnosing the problems that they were having, especially after Asprilla went off and Zambrano came on to kind of unbalance the Timbers formation, of diagnosing that problem, seeing where Sporting were taking advantage of that, and going to the 5-back once they were able to bring Larissa Mabiala on in the 67th minute to give the Timbers a little bit more strength in wide areas and to shut down a lot of the chances that SKC were creating. And really, over the course of the last 20 or 25 minutes of that game, the Timbers did a great job of controlling those areas and keeping Sporting pretty quiet in a game that looked like it was starting to get a little bit out of control. So I think that's something we could see going forward from the Timbers. It's nice to see that club in the bag, especially with Bill Tuiloma playing as well as he has in Mabiala's absence. It's good to see for the Timbers that they have the ability to go to a 5-back, to keep Tuiloma in, who's affected the game not only with his pretty solid defensive work, but frankly with his really, really good distribution. Another what would have been an assist if there hadn't been some funkiness in the box, or at least just started the string of play on the Timbers' second goal to find Abobasi. He's been a game changer. He's changed multiple games in that respect, and I think they want to keep him on the field. And this is a way where they can certainly keep him in the game and impacting games on a regular basis?
A guy who impacts games on a regular basis. Sebastian Blanco.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and he was back. Not 100% back, but he's back. So tell me what comes next for the Timbers and Sebastian Blanco.
What comes next is getting him used to being back on a competitive soccer field. It's a process. He hasn't played in most of a year, and I think the Timbers are going to see this same process play out with Jarek Nijgoda. Timbers fans certainly remember this process playing out in 2015 with Diego Valeri. There were plenty of bumps on that road, a road, by the way, that led to a pretty good spot. And so, it's going to be a process. I think, frankly, that's probably, a pretty high order priority for the Timbers over the course of these next 3 games before we go into that Gold Cup break, of just getting Blanco on the field, building up his minutes, getting him back used to being in a competitive soccer situations and back in form. If they can do that, if they can start that process with Nijgoda, if they can get a couple of their other guys healthy, and if they can collect a few more points along the way, I think this is a team that'll feel really good coming out of that Gold Cup break. That said, that's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of things that they've got to do over the course of the next week and a half or so. And all the while, they have to keep themselves afloat. They've done a really good job, as Matt noted, of doing that. 1.5 per game is nothing to shake a stick at, given the absences that they've had. If they can sustain that pace, and if they can get themselves to a place where they'll look something like the team we expect them to be coming out into mid-July, I think they'll be very, very pleased.
Wait and see. Also, I need to do some research on the shake a stick reference. Like, where did that come from? When was it common to shake sticks at things that you either wanted to poo-poo or downgrade? That's Chris Reifer. Thank you, man, for talking Timbers with us as normal. Let's go to number 9. Stay in the East in the Western Conference. That's the Colorado Rapids. 2 points per game for the Rapids, Doyle. Things are working. Usually it works when you play Cincinnati, who I'll give it away for everybody, are 27th in these power rankings.
Let me give you this team's last 6 games. 1-0 at Vancouver, 3-2 versus a Minnesota United team that was struggling mightily at that point, 3-1 versus Houston, 2-1 loss at LAFC, 3-0 versus FC Dallas, who are bottom of the West, and 2-0 versus Cincinnati. Colorado.
Are you calling them fool's gold?
I am not. I'm not.
Because when I went to Colorado as a kid, we always came back with fool's gold.
So I'm not precisely calling them fool's gold. What I'm saying is that they had a soft spot in the schedule, and they handled it like you would expect to see from a good team. And they've done it in a variety of different ways. There have been, I think one comeback win in there, but more often they were playing kind of a 4-2-3-1 and controlling the game, overloading wide spots. This game, they played in the 3-5-2, and they were able to, invite Cincinnati upfield and then just eviscerate them over the top. And that kind of flexibility in terms of their shape and in terms of how exactly they played, that's the mark of a good coach and a good team. And I think that's what this team, what they happen to be. My question is, does that mean their ceiling is so high that they are legitimate contenders to win some sort of trophy? And I still have my questions about that.
I have my questions about that too. We're going to have some answers, early answers, incomplete answers on Wednesday night. They are coming to Kansas City, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I should just give this in Central and Mountain Time because, come on now, we're in the middle of the sandwich. MLS Live on ESPN+. That's going to be a big test. I have some important information about where that shake a stick comment came from. The beauty of this show is that somebody immediately reached out to me, tweeted at me, Joel Goldstein, and said, farmers controlled their sheep by shaking their staffs to indicate where the animals should go. And when farmers had more sheep than they could control, it was said they had more than you can shake a stick at. That's incredible.
I trust Joe. I mean, Joe's a very knowledgeable person. So
that makes a ton of sense to me. That makes a ton of sense to me. Colorado Rapids at number 9. We had a big conversation about Cole Bassett on Extra Time on Monday, whether he should make the Gold Cup, how good he is. Maybe this is his time to be sold as well. Listen to that anywhere you get podcasts or on YouTube. At number 10, the LA Galaxy. Hey, they lost, but they lost to Seattle Sounders. This is Sasha Kleshchin just slotting in a PK that Chicharito earned, or if you listen to NIKO Moreno at the top of this show did not earn.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was interesting from the Galaxy, and when I read what you wrote about it, Doyle, I became even more interested. Greg Vanney is going to go down swinging with what he believes in, and in that case, it's possession.
Yeah, and that's been, I think, the defining factor, defining a facet of Greg Vanney teams since he took over in Toronto, I think 8 years ago now, 7, was like his team, like he wants his team to have the ball and to establish tempo and to use that tempo, not only to create chances, but as a way of defending. Like if you're on the ball, then your opposition isn't. And that, like, against the Sounders, that's not necessarily the best way of going at it because Seattle are so comfortable playing against the ball. But it did kind of work in this one. Like they didn't allow Seattle anything from open play, and that's a far cry from what we saw the first time these two teams faced off against each other. So I think bit by bit, this really is becoming a Greg Vanney team. And while the result wasn't there this weekend, I thought the ideas behind it were really good. And I think against a lesser side, it probably would have ended up being 3 points.
I think bit by bit is probably the best way to describe what they're doing as well, because one, it's the tactical side, it's the culture side that Greg Vanney is having to come in and build, but two, it's the personnel.
Yeah.
And, Leggett had been gone, or he's been distracted by the U.S. national team in some ways, pulled around the world. He will be, I expect, for Gold Cup as well. Dos Santos has been in and out with Mexico, and you're getting Koulibaly finally in, and Derek Williams was suspended, and Julian Araujo is probably going to be gone for the Gold Cup. And, Grand Star's been adapting to somewhat of a successful degree. And Cabral just got in, and you have the defensive midfielder that's going to come in from League Two as well. And there's just been a lot.
There's been a lot. I will say the thing I'm most concerned about at this point is their scouting, because I have not seen anything at all from Grand Cyr and Cabral. It's very early, but I'm not as.
They went to the same well on a lot of these guys.
I'm not as bullish. I'm not as bullish on their scouting as I am on their ability to eventually play really good soccer and turn that into winning soccer. But we're going to need to see a lot more from Cabral and Grand Cyr than we have already.
But I think, regardless of that, and regardless of the heater that Chicharito was on and sort of the fairy tale story, to be, after 8 games, with a game in hand and 2 games in hand on the top 2 teams in the conference, able to pass Sporting Kansas City, able to almost match Seattle, being at 1.88 points per game, winning games at home, reinvigorating a fan base, reinvigorating a club. That's incredible from Greg Vanney from the jump. And you have to think that there's some Toronto FC players looking across the great expanse that is North America and saying, dang, man, we had some good times with that guy. We'll get to Toronto in just a little bit, but that's been the top 10 of the power rankings. You can see them all once again here. Seattle, New England, Philadelphia, Columbus, Orlando in the top 5. If you can't do the math on conferences, that's 1 in the West, 4 in the East. New York City, KC, Portland, Colorado, LA Galaxy. Finish this off so the back half is West heavy. Those are the power rankings for Week 8. Go to MLSsoccer.com or the MLS app for the full list. We're going to keep this show going on Spaces. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much.